Hey everybody, What a Wisdom here. It is now Wednesday, October 5th. It's 1 in the morning. We got something a little different for you yet again. I'm talking SkyCon. What is SkyCon? Try a Skylanders Convention. One of the things I want to know from you is, would you support it? And this is a serious video, just me kind of gauging feedback from people. If you're super into this sort of a thing, or Skylanders in general, I encourage you to check out the Skylander Club forum, skylanderclub.com. I built it, I run it, there's no evil third parties, it's not some conglomerate site that's tied in with other games or something. Check it out. If you like what you see, sign up. I would love to have you join us. Now, that said, back to SkyCon, as I call it. Recently, I was at Minecon, and if you don't know what Minecon is, it's basically the Minecraft convention. It's hosted by Mojang, Microsoft, I guess, ties in with it now. And it's basically just pretty much once a year, they go somewhere in the world and they have a convention. And they have a whole bunch of people that obviously like the game together. They go all out. I was actually pretty impressed by, generally you hear something like a gamer convention and you picture like this cruddy hotel lobby and like a banner over a coffee table and like some family members or friends of employees like hodgepodging some, like very illy designed t-shirts or something like that. This was a fancy setup. Now, tickets aren't cheap. They're $160 a piece. They're actually kind of hard to get is the bigger issue. But basically, for that kind of money, you'd have really good seats at an NFL game, baseball, basketball, you name it. But it's good for like a 2-day deal, Saturday and Sunday at Minecon. And basically, they break it down in a couple of ways. Number one, you can just run around, and there's like so many really, really cool photo ops. That's number one. Number two, there's the panels. You've got like the official, developers. You got 4J Studios. You got people from Microsoft, Mojang, which it was kind of cool. Everyone's Swedish, and so it's like Mojang. And I'm still going to call it Mojang because I live in Texas, and that's what I've done my entire life that I've known of it. So, but apparently the correct pronunciation would in fact be Mojang. And it still kind of cracks me up, but anyway, it's just a great time. And the big draws for me, of course, was like the 1.11 changelog. It's what's going to be brand new in the game. What are they doing? Then, of course, you've got, the same type of thing for Pocket Edition, Console Edition. And then, for me, that was it. That was the highlight of it for me. For the younger audience, it was, honestly, it seemed to be meeting YouTube personalities. There were just massive lines everywhere. A lot of them didn't have like a panel you could go to. Like Mindcrack that I watched is very organized. They had a panel. Got to go ask questions. They had a meet and greet afterwards. You get pictures and photos and autographs. They had cards in stock. A couple of the YouTubers did their own little thing outside the convention. Had cards. Grian, some of the MindLogix guys, watch him. Everyone else, it was just kind of like, hey, we're going to be here, or we're walking around, find us. And then you'd see these massive lines and all these kids just going crazy. That's what it brought to my mind was like, hey, that's, this is a good time, and it's pretty cool. There's merchandise booth, which that was the one bad thing, man. I didn't get the t-shirt or the purple sheep, which was exclusive. There's only one booth selling them, and it had like a 4-hour line every single time. And they're supposed to sell them online now to attendees, but that's like a scalperdom deal. There's purple sheep online for $500. Don't buy them. That's idiotic. But you could work around that, make multiple booths, sell them ahead of time. I don't know many people that are going to come in and pay that kind of money for a ticket and then say, no, I don't want the $20 event t-shirt. Just go ahead and check off your boxes. Extra large, youth small for your daughter, medium for your teenage son, whatever it might be. And there's many, many ways to improve that. But what I want to get back to is, let's take that same concept of convention, if you will, and apply it to Skylanders. And I have been to E3 multiple times. I've seen their setup. They have amazing stuff. Sadly, for a lot of you that, watch, coverage of this stuff, you just see people vlogging, and you see their head, and you see their food, and they're having a great time. That's cool. But they don't really, immerse you in the environment that they're in. E3 is they put a lot of money into these displays. Again, it's not just like a banner over a table, and like, hey, come play the game for a second and we'll give you something free. It's a really cool, if you are a genuine fan, I mean, you would be super excited to see the setups, the characters, the figures that they put on display. The larger than life, I don't even know what to call them, if they're like fiberglass or something, but the giant chaos, the giant jetpack. It's just a really cool setup with Skylanders. They're firmly established as the leaders in toys to life. They pioneered the generation. They're still here. Competitors have fallen. People like myself, older players, veteran players of the series, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. I feel like some of the younger audience, might have gravitated, like SSA kids, like come of age with that. They might have moved on to Call of Duty or CSGO or what have you. Minecraft for many of you. But there's still going to be that fondness, like, hey, I remember that. I loved Skylanders. But there will always be, just like with Minecraft, a new generation of players. And if you can set up a situation where you kind of just tailor to your fan base, regardless of the age, again, the photo ops, I thought the stuff was cool. It might have been intended for an 8-year-old, but I thought it was fantastic. And I didn't really like the lines, but again, that's what you run into at this sort of a thing. It's a deal. I think it could actually be profitable. Number one, selling tickets at that rate, you're going to cover it. The insurance at an event like that is always an issue, but again, it goes back to Activision. I think they can handle it. They've done similar things, I guess, in the past with Call of Duty. But this is something, because you look back on it, like I do, and you've got, okay, what's the next game going to be? When's the announcement? And we've seen, for a while it was, the toy fair. They dropped the game and maybe a little information, and then sometimes it's E3. It's like, oh, yeah, here we go. It's the big reveal. Sometimes it's later than that. It could be set up. I mean, at least I would say summer. That's the other issue with Minecon. It fell in the school year. A lot of the people I talked to, their kids were homeschooled. For everyone else, most of the people I talked to that weren't homeschooled were actually local to California. It was a situation where it was like, this Minecraft is huge for my nephew. We went ahead and pulled him out of school. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime deal. And we went for it, had the great time, and everyone was happy. But I think if you could stage it like late summer, maybe July, of course, have it indoors for air conditioning sort of a thing. If you tailor it there and you make that, or even if you had to do it before E3, there's many ways you can do it. With Skylanders, you can release the game concept, and then the characters. Right now, there's a couple of characters people sort of know of now, but we don't really know about, if you will, and the game is like 10 days out for some of you in Australia. What I'm getting at is there's multiple ways to stagger this thing if you needed to. But my thoughts are, make that the big deal. I mean, just come in, and it can be for fans, and you would want to, change the location from time to time, maybe even have multiple per year, reveal new, fresh information in each one. You've got the fan base to do it. You've got the means to make it happen. And again, I genuinely feel, though, that it would be profitable for the Skylanders. Just in the regard of moving exclusive merchandise, the price of the tickets, I think you could break even there. Factor in, 50% of people probably taking t-shirts. And then just come in and have, cool stuff. Maybe you come in and maybe you've got some Series 2 Bash figures. Maybe you've got some traps people haven't been able to find. Put them up, turn your profits, through your, products and merchandise, maybe discounted games, exclusive gear, etc. But I genuinely think people would be responsive to that. It's a deal. People want to go to E3. If you're under 18, sorry, you can't get in at all. You're limited then to coverage from other people, which is often lacking, very lacking in terms of detail-oriented people like myself. If you're not there, you're just cringing as you see these people with access to gain information, and they just blow it. Toys for Bob, they're usually very inviting, let people come in. But again, imagine, if you will, when you've sat there and you've just submitted your questions either to some random person on YouTube or on a forum or something. Imagine, if you will, being able to go to the Toys for Bob character creation panel. Would probably be something they would do. And you could potentially ask the very people behind it, hey, what do you guys do with this? Or will you make this character? And then if you divide it up, and you've got Vicarious Visions and console people, and you come in, and then if you're super into Battlecast, and you can come in and say, hey, let's talk about this, or let's set up a tournament type of a thing. The number of panels you could come up with would be immense. You could fully satisfy, a Saturday, Sunday schedule with panels. And then, like I said, if it's the same mindset of like the younger audience, like maybe they're not as into character creation, or say I was doing like attack damage numbers or something, they might just be more into like, oh my gosh, it's Rob from Coin Op. Wow, I want a picture with Rob. I watch him all the time. That sort of a thing. It would pan out greatly, and it would just, again, I don't think, from what I know of, Rob, Asian Guy Game, I don't think any of them would be, oh, hey, I don't really want my picture made, I don't really want to meet people. I think they would eat it up, man. I think it would go over extremely well with them. When I was at Minecon, I even tweeted this. I think it was like right before the opening ceremony or the 111 changelog. I was like, why don't we have a Skylanders convention, man? This is, it's just something I hadn't really thought of until I was at Minecon. And I was like, Skylanders should do this. Why haven't they done this? This is year 6, And I tweeted it out. PDDT, Rob, both of them were 100% behind it. My nephew was like, yeah, why hasn't Skylanders done that? That is a good idea. And for all I know, it's something they're planning. Again, they've got Netflix coming. The books, which a lot of people still overlook, those are very good. I enjoy them, and I'm an older sector, if you will, of the target audience. But I just think that the window of opportunity is there. And it's something, again, I know there's a lot of expense and a lot of setup. I think they've got the staff to pull it off. I think they've got the experience to do it. I think they would break even and profit from it. More importantly, though, like I said, it's a deal where you'd have to limit the numbers. You might have to have multiple a year, change the location, East Coast, West Coast, Central, Midwest. That's the thing with me, everything seems to be New York, California, Florida. I hate that. I live in Texas. And as such, and not in like a very populated part of the state, mind you. But for me, it's like I always talk about, people are like, oh, well, yeah, this Toys R Us sucks. I have to go to the other one. When you don't live in like an urbanopolis area, you don't have a second Toys R Us. If the one Best Buy didn't have steel-plated smash hit, and you're like, yeah, I had to drive 10 miles to the other one. People fail to realize, like, the greater part of the country, we don't have that. If Best Buy doesn't have steel-plated smash hit, your next Best Buy could be 4 or 5 hours away. Some people don't have a Toys R Us within that radius of them. Then you're left ordering online. I'm very, very well aware of that, and that's why I always kind of try to cater to that when I mention, where I got things, how I got them, etc. I would very much like to see, I'm not a big fan of the cold, but throw one up in Minneapolis, put one in, St. Louis. Go to the Central Standard Time Zone, for frick's sake. Years ago, Conan O'Brien, this was long ago, but he would do the Central Standard Time Zone countdown for New Year's because we're just left out. You come in, the major news stations, they go around the world, and then they're like in Florida or New York, and then it's like, we're waiting for LA or Vegas, and then it's like, what about us? What about the Central Standard Time Zone? I mean, we've got some big cities. And then, of course, you move into the Mountain Standard Time Zone. It's like, we just don't exist either. And I would like to see them. They've done mall tours and stuff kind of along that. But Dallas area, Houston area, San Antonio, you've got lots of options there. Again, St. Louis, Chicago, Oklahoma City, Denver. There's plenty of locations you can do cool stuff. Now, that said, Activision is headquarters in Santa Monica, which I love it there. Toys for Bob is up the coast, I guess, in San Francisco area. So we've got a pretty solid groundwork there. I mean, it's you could do a lot worse than saying, yeah, I've got to fly out to Santa Monica this weekend to go to SkyCon. I don't think that's going to upset anybody too much. But what I'm saying is I hope that they would be respectful and kind of be like, okay, let's go here. Let's go to Phoenix. Let's go to Denver. Let's go to Dallas. Let's do St. Louis, Chicago, etc. Not just New York and LA, because that really ticks off everyone that's not in New York and LA. But what I'm trying to get at here before I totally lose my voice, I chugged a lot of chocolate milk just a little bit ago. Actually, after the VP debates, for some reason I decided to do T25 for the first time in a long time. And then I showered, and then I drank a lot of chocolate milk because it expires today, and it doesn't smell bad yet. And it's a half gallon, and I don't want to throw the majority of it away. So that's my life at 1 a.m. But this is something I'm serious about. I think the potential is there. I think it would be cool. Just like I said, I've not put any Minecon videos up yet. It was very hard to film anything in there. I don't know what my footage looks like. But the bottom line, it was amazing. Even, like my mom and sister that, they know my nephew's into it. They know we play it. We have the server, etc. They were like, wow, this is really cool. And you could see with some of the parents, you could tell yeah, we had to bring little Timmy here. Oh, and then you can see them walk in and they're like, oh, wow. It's like, hey, honey, take my picture with this horse, or I love these little ocelots. It was that sort of a reaction. And again, based on what I've seen at E3, when you go in and demo the game and the setup around it, which again is details a lot of people are just oblivious to, I sit there and I appreciate those things. And I can envision what they would do on a larger scale. And I think it would be really, really cool. There was the costume contest at Minecon. I know at Comic Con, Skylanders has hosted a costume contest a couple of years now. It would basically, the way to say it is there's no shortage of things to do. It's not going to be like they're going to be scratching their heads. What do we talk about? A big draw for me, of course, would be what's the next game going to be, depending on if maybe they've announced that at E3 and this comes after. Go into detail on the characters. Show some new portions of the game. Maybe dive into something people didn't see or have access to at E3. I just think it would be really, really cool. And like I said, I think this is the time to do it. Not necessarily right now, but, moving in 2017, the next game, Skylanders 7, I think it would be awesome. And everyone I've spoken to about it has been like, yeah, that would be cool. And what I want to know from you is if you agree with that. Is a Skylanders convention something you would attend? Would it have to be local? Is it something that if it was, say, they threw it up in LA, sort of right near the home base, is it something that you would fly from Florida or from St. Louis or Chicago to go to? I know the issue with Minecon is just the tickets are really, really hard to come by. And something with SkyCon that they could do is sort of stage it, maybe US, Europe, and Australia. Sort of your main 3 markets there, maybe Canada as well. I have a lot of Canadian viewers. I have not forgotten about you. But, just set it up and then, move it within those countries respectively. So if it's in Toronto, maybe the next year it's in Vancouver. If we start in LA, maybe the next year it's in Chicago, something like that. But I think that would circumvent, with Minecon, it's possibly once a year. I think they've skipped a year or two. But it's in Anaheim this year, right? So people in the EU and Australia, they're kind of like, ooh, that's a big trip. Same thing when it was in London last year. Everyone had to fly out. A lot of people that got their passports for the first time. One way to circumvent that and sort of stretch the ticket sales is say, hey, people in London, don't worry. We're going to have a SkyCon closer to you at this date. Or, hey, Australia, don't worry. We're coming to you in August. Something like that. But like I said, I know I'm rambling. I'm extremely tired, literally very tired from the workout, I think, and the riveting debate. But anyway, I want to know your thoughts on this. If this is something you would get behind, let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like on the video, share the video, or at least the idea of it. I'll have a link to a thread on the Skylander Club forum if you want to discuss it in detail. But I think now is the time, man. And I think it could be done. I think it could be done very well. And I think people would really, really enjoy it. And more importantly, though, it's cool, I guess, to have the reveal at, a toy, an industry type deal. But there's got to be people in the studio that, have intimate ties to the game. And they don't want to just see investors, as much as they always talk about the kids and the target audience and, all that good stuff. it's one thing to go and present your deal and have people like, oh, well, that looks profitable, and small applause. They don't have a clue what you're talking about. They don't know who Stealth Elf is or anything. Versus coming in and pulling the robe off of something, demoing it, having Lou on the stage playing through something, and having an audience that just erupts and cheers, and they know what you're talking about. They get excited. They cheer when Chaos comes on. They cheer maybe when Sunburn would return. We'll just go out on a limb. Ghost Roaster, that type of a connection with the audience. And that's sort of, again, what I would like to see come from Skylanders. I think it would be beneficial not only to the franchise, but also to the fan base. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. Let's see how long we've rambled on. 20 minutes. So should have said it at the start, but this is one of those videos you can just turn on and leave and do something or work on your homework or something, and just a little food for thought. So if this is something you would support, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you would like to see. If you agree with me, think it's a good idea. If you think it's a horrible idea, feel free to say that down below as well. But before I lose my voice, I'm going to end this. But like I said, Minecon was a fantastic time, and I just have a feeling that a SkyCon would just be something that would go over extremely well with folks. So that said, I'll quit rambling. Thanks so much for watching. Oneofwisdom.com. Make sure you're subscribed if you have not. Much more Imaginator news coming your way. Battlecast as well. And yes, I might finally fully complete Superchargers. We just lack a little bit of race action. And of course, Elite Boomer, who I saved for the last because he's the best. But more on that later. Again, thanks so much for watching. I will catch you back here next time.